Hendron County Quorum will come to order. All rise, please. We'll be opened in prayer by Justice David Holcomb, immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Assessor Emma Smiley.
Father, we're grateful for another day that you have blessed us with. We ask, Father, that your hand of protection will be before the storms. We thank you for the rain that we need. And Father, we ask that you would continue to protect those that serve in this county and keep us safe. We ask, Father, that you would be with those who are ministering care in this county. Forgive us where we fail you. We ask, God, that you would grant us your wisdom tonight, that we would make decisions that would reflect a servant's heart. We ask these things in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Have a seat. Roll call.
Holcomb.
Here.
Nikki. Here. Sarah. Here. Phillips. Here. Mike Bradford.
Here.
John Bradford.
Here.
Page. Here. Lemmings.
Here.
Bass.
Yes, here.
Next is to approve the agenda. The only thing that I think is coming, going, or being changed is I would entertain a motion to dispense with the audible reading of the transfers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to dispense with the audible reading of the transfers. Any discussion? All in favor? Well, got to roll call it. Roll call vote for approval of the agenda.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Nikki. Yes. Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Mike Bradford.
Yes.
John Bradford.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
You have in your packet copies of the minutes of the previous meeting and the financial reports. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes and the financial reports. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us up to the county judge's comments. First of all, immediately following tonight's Quorum Court meeting, we'll open the 911 center. If you'd like to tour it, it's getting really, really close to being done. It's looking really good. Have a little trim work to do and a few other little issues here and there, but it's really coming along. Also, I need to know tonight, if possible, who is planning on going to the AAC meeting this year in August. We need to know how many rooms to get and how many reservations to make.
What is it?
9 to 11. You need to know right now?
Just let us know within the next couple of days. I think registration opens, when does it open? 26. As long as we know before registration opens so we can get everybody who wants to be in, we'll get y'all in the host hotel. If we can at all. Committee, do you have any elected officials here that you would like to ask any questions of? Elected officials and department heads, do any of you wish to approach the court?
Did you say elected officials or boards?
Either.
Oh, I just want to say, I was talking. I'm just going to say, I'm just going to say that they started working on the courthouse. Yay. They have laid the LVT upstairs in the hallway where the bathrooms are. Tomorrow the inmates are gonna tear the carpet out of the hallway downstairs, and they're gonna lay that Saturday morning. We're trying to only get that part done because the school is gonna use the courthouse for their annual prom parade Saturday night. So they've started working on fixing some holes in the sheetrock to get ready to get that done. So we're starting. So just let y'all know.
That's exciting. Any other elected officials or department heads wish to comment? Okay, next up, Judge Weaver.
So, I think that some of you may be aware that our security systems are not probably the best that we've got. And I had been told for months now that the security cameras in the annex, which is where I primarily hold court, because I do a lot of VM cases, but this goes for both courthouses, but I'm just focusing on the annex because that's what I was told didn't work. I went into the courthouse, and if you turn it on, it works. So that being said, it does work. However, I provided several things that I did go ahead and get some quote, or a quote from, it's called Convergent, and that is who Faulkner County is using for, and Ms. Cruz may know, I don't know if she does or not, I'm trying to get you on the spot, but I believe that's who they're going to be using for all the security in Faulkner County. So I kind of went with them and had them come and look at our systems. Now, first thing I want y'all to look at is if you look at the cameras, the picture that I gave you, bottom right, we do have a camera out. But when you look, there's not one camera that covers any entryway into that annex. So that not only puts everybody in court in some sort of predicament should something occur, it puts anybody that has any access into that building, the extension office, the CASA building, state police, all of those folks that are housed in there have potential safety concerns. Well, if you look, there's not one single camera that shows the entrance ways. And this big one right here is specifically into the judge's chambers. You cannot see, and I circled it, where the judge would go in to chambers. You cannot see the judge clearly on the bench. I circled it. There's from the behind and there's from the front. And then also the top right would be where the witness would be, which is, if you've been in that courtroom, it's just like sitting right next to the person beside you. The camera does not cover the witness either. The camera that we have in there, they're just not that great. And the company that came said that what they could do so we could cut costs is take the cameras that we have there in the annex and they could relocate them. And what I had said I thought would be ideal would be able to cover every single entrance into that building, because I think that's a big deal. If you look at the bottom middle picture, you can see the green. Over to the far left, that's where you would go in where the adult education sign used to be. That's all you can see. So as you can tell, if somebody were to enter in any of these sides, we're not going to know necessarily who they are because we're not going to be able to tell from these pictures. So I did get the quote, and on the front page I kind of explained what Convergent does, and they are a company that right now in Arkansas, they are working in the federal building in Little Rock, the federal courthouse in Texarkana, the federal courthouse in Jonesboro. I felt that this is important because courthouses sometimes are a little bit different than other businesses, and I wanted to make sure that we got a company who is familiar with this type of setup. They are also locally sourced, which I think, that doesn't really make sense, but they are locally sourced. And I believe that the cameras that we have now are from out of state, and to get somebody to come in and fix them was going to be quite expensive. These folks are nationwide. They have an office in Central Arkansas with their technicians actually in Greenbrier and Conway. So they would be just really close, and for the first year it would cover anything that they need to come up and do. And I've got all this kind of topped up. They're also working with the Arkansas Division of Corrections and the Faulkner County Justice Building. Yes, okay. So that's where I knew I was talking about that. And so the Faulkner Justice Building, their camera systems are down, and they're kind of revamping the whole thing to kind of get some more security in that area as well. So really all we would be getting from this company are 2 new cameras and relocations of 8 other cameras. So that way it would cover the whole building. Because it is, while my concern was court, when I got to looking at this, there's a concern about everybody in that building. Again, with CASA that's in the building, that's children, and we're going to have very angry parents. Judge James May can speak on some of that, as well as Ms. Brown and also Mrs. Cruz to explain some of the victims and the parents that we may have to deal with in those types of situations. The letter gives you the breakdown of what everything is, and they talk about it. And one of the other things that they wanted to point out was that these cameras that they use are not manufactured in China, and they are from South Korea. And they were talking about the difference in the security concerns as well. Some of the things that Convergent found while I was at the annex, and I had a picture, but I couldn't find it whenever I went to print everything off, is in the hallway there was an internet router. That internet, I guess I don't know what, I'm really IT stupid, but it's the little box and it has the code on it. Anybody can walk into that building right now and get that code and hack into that system, whatever that system is. So whoever system is running on the annex right now is open to the public because it's right there on the ceiling. Not only that, but 2 times I've gone to the county building at night and it was unlocked, which is a little concerning because we've got all those offices in there. Luckily, I take a dog with me because I'm scared. I'm a chicken. But 2 different nights within the last month, I've gone up there and doors were unlocked. And so one night I went up there specifically to check doors, and the Costa door was unlocked. And when I went up on Saturday this weekend to do something for work, the side door was unlocked. I didn't check everybody's office's doors because I didn't want them to think I was creeping. So I just went into my area and it was locked. But anyway, so that's another concern. And I don't know how to handle that one. I don't know if there's somebody that we can get about checking to make sure all the doors are locked at night, because again, it's not just about the courthouse, it's about every office in there. So I didn't really know how to approach this because it's not something that I'm asking specific in the budget for First Division. It's something that I'm asking for everybody in the county that steps foot in that building. The other issue that I think that we would have as a county is if something is to go wrong in that building, if there is something major that happens, the county's going to be liable. The county could possibly be sued for the lack of some of the security that we are being provided, or that they are being provided, because we as a county have a duty to protect the people that come into our buildings. So that was something else I just want y'all to think about. I was going to do a whole presentation about all the things that have happened in the courthouses across the United States, and specifically in Arkansas, where people just walk in and there's shootings and all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. But I didn't have time to get that done before tonight. So I can provide that, but it's more of a, a drama piece. But I think you got my point. And I don't know, I'm coming to y'all to say, hey, listen, can we get some security in there? And what do we need to do it? And whoever's internet that is, then they'll probably do that. Because I believe wasn't it Little Rock School District Central that got hacked not long ago, within the last year? I can't remember.
It was.
And the folks from Convergent also said they could come up here to a meeting to ask any questions. I told them I didn't think it was necessary. For not one, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want y'all to think I was just trying to spring them on y'all. And 2, I wanted to see how y'all want to do it. They can come in person. They said they could appear by Zoom, whatever you want them to do. They're willing to do for questions.
What's the anticipated cost?
It's right there on page 2, $13,000.
That's for 2 cameras and.
It's for the 2 cameras and the installation. I'm sorry, yeah, that includes the work as well, the labor, the 2 cameras and the relocation of the 8 other cameras to get them into a position where they're going to be better off. And so what they're going to do, from my understanding, was the main cameras, one will be in the courtroom, and because that way it'll be super clear.
Okay, so my question.
Go ahead. I'll go ahead.
So, the bulk of the cost is the labor. So if we were to have someone move those cameras ourselves, would they still be willing to do all of the other?
I don't know, because those cameras will have to go into this box system that does all the recordings. And so I don't know if they would want and I don't blame them, having somebody else do those cameras and then going into that other system that does the recording. And they said we would have the choices of recording from 30, 45, and 60 days. They didn't get that to me because I wanted the cost difference on that of what it would be, but I don't believe that they broke that down and they were going to. I think one of them had some sort of emergency, they said, and that's why they didn't get it. But
Yeah, one thing was there's no sales tax. I didn't see that. We don't have to have sales tax on that.
well, I was going to ask them about that because I noticed when I was putting the packets together today that it said that sales tax. Where'd it go? It's over in. And again, I apologize. I told them I needed this on the 14th. Proposal does not include sales tax unless otherwise noted. Number 9.
And then on that first page, but on the back side, that second, or the first dot there under scope of work, it says it does not include electrical service, poke-throughs, or conduit. So there's going to be more cost with that, probably, right?
I would have to ask, that's a question I have to ask them. So I do not know.
Is this the only bid that you got?
My understanding was that somebody had gotten another bid, that Rodney, and I don't know, put me on the spot now.
I know about that. It was from, here we have Lakeview Alarms. I talked to them today because Rodney had to take over and he asked me to call him. They thought they had emailed it, but they hadn't, so he said he would have it to me tomorrow. I don't know what the bid, it's just for that up here, I believe, but I think they're giving me a separate bid for the courthouse. We've got some stuff down there, but we did ask one of those and it should be here tomorrow. But I don't have no idea what the number is.
Okay,
So-
yeah, my understanding is Rodney did it, no disrespect, but Rodney's also told me the cameras didn't work and I went and
Right.
turned
And
it on.
also on this page,
So-
it says items excluded, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yes.
So,
Dale, just maybe, I'm just curious if there's any kind of, are there any funds in like the maintenance that could?
Well, I just looked, and I wouldn't be able to absorb that much of a cost just out of the maintenance budget.
And I can ask them of all these, what would not need to be needed, if this is their general, general whatever. So, yes ma'am.
Do you know if there are any grants available?
So there is a courtroom security grant, but unfortunately, we can't get it until probably, what year is this, 2023? I've had it since 2021, and we used it to get additional security at the courtroom, because what good are the metal detectors if we have no one manning them? And getting people to work have been pulling teeth. However, the sheriff's office has been working with me, and they've been amazing. And we have somebody now at every single courtroom, every single time we have court, at the metal detector to make sure that they're screening, like, whatever the judges want. For me, I have no bags, cell phones, purses, and things like that. I kind of mirror mine after Faulkner County, because our security down there is a lot tighter than it is here. Of course, they got different funds, and I understand all that. But what I'm doing is just trying to mirror it after kind of what we've got going on down there. So because that security grant money has not been spent, we cannot apply for the security grant money again. The grant for this year application is already in, but if everything goes as planned, I had to turn in my grant report last week. It was due in January, but I turned it in last week. And hopefully all those funds will be depleted by the end of the year. If we can deplete those funds, then yes, we can then apply for the grant and use some of that toward this. And it's up to 15 or 20,000. I can't remember because it's changed since I first started doing it. But you're looking at another 2 years. And the way I understand it is Pete Hollingsworth, who's over the grant in Little Rock that works with me on the grant, if I understood him correctly, so what will happen is next year, if I go to apply, I'm still going to be behind all the people that didn't get it this year. So that's what I'm saying. It might be 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So they try, because they only got so much money, they try to divvy it out, and then you like maybe every other year you get your grant. But we will take the step below, and that's the only one that I'm aware of. I'm not saying that there's not more out there, but I will look. I am applying for another grant. I don't know what all it's going to entail, but it's about $750,000, and I meet with the grant writer from some other state next week by Zoom, and it's going to be specific to Van Buren and Searcy County. So everybody keep your fingers crossed, because that will be something that we're going to be able to utilize just in these 2 counties.
So, go ahead.
And I don't know. I'll see
The
if I
two
can-
cameras you've got listed here, am I reading this right? 4 megapixel at 30 frames per second? That seems pretty low for a security camera. 4 megapixels? Megapixels? Is it supposed to be 4K?
I don't have any idea. This is why I wanted them to come, because I'm really not computer IT person. But also I didn't want to be like, hey Dad, can Jenny come over with Jenny standing beside me? Does that make sense? Do you remember getting a pair? I always got in trouble for doing that as a kid. You don't ask in front of the kid. Okay, but you always did because you knew they wouldn't say no.
So for an appropriation to go through a course, I mean, we're all aware of how this works. We'd need a sponsor for an ordinance, no matter what that ordinance may be between now and next month. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer to work with Susan to come up with an ordinance to present next month
On this,
on her need?
yeah, I'm looking at this items, excluded installation of conduit boxes, installation control panels, even the manuals. We're gonna have to pay extra for that. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff here.
Do you think that maybe they would be available that they could come to the next meeting? And that way all these questions.
Yes, they told me that they would come. I wanted to come to y'all first and say, hey, here's what I'm looking at, here's what I wanna do, what are your questions, what do you want me to do next? I didn't wanna bring them here and try to make y'all feel pressured, not that you would, I just was trying to be respectful to all of y'all and come on my own first and say, hey, here's our problem, here's what we've got, here's what I'm looking at, and tell me what you want me to do. Do you want me to go back and ask them the questions? Do you want me to have them here to ask, for you to ask questions? Or do you want to say, bug off, Weaver, we don't have the money, we can't do this?
Is that an option? No.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told worse.
No, what I would like to see is possibly other quotes, especially because of all of the things like Mr. Bass was talking about that were excluded. I do know that there are some entities in this building that have their own security. Maybe ask them what they use and if it's more cost efficient.
Yeah, maybe it might be, but then we go back to where the camera's from, or there are going to be security issues with that, and those Convergent kind of explain it a lot better than I can. The other thing that they did say is, and I had asked for this actually, and I didn't get it. I had asked for a list of every county office that has its own security and how much it was per month. And I did ask for that, and I didn't get it because I wanted to be able to try to put all those numbers together, because I think what we could do, which would be more cost efficient for the county, is everybody get on one. This system could do that too. We wouldn't have to do it all in 1 year, but just so that way, instead of having 5 different offices, and I'm just making these numbers up because I don't know, because I didn't get the answer, but instead of 5 different offices having 5 different security systems and us all paying $75 a piece, could we get one security system and cut that in half? But again, I do not know until I have the information. But that's what, something I'm glad you brought that up, because they did talk about how they could actually tie in all of the buildings together. And I don't, Ms. Cruz, I know I'm totally putting you on the spot. Have you talked with Brandy Higgins or any of them about, I know Judge Clark did, but I've just kind of let them take the lead. Do you know anything else about the security systems down there? Because it's the same company.
Yeah, I mean, what about it? I mean,
And just anything that could be added to what is here tonight?
not specifically.
No, okay. I'm sorry, and I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. Judge Clark was kind of heading that one down there, so.
I mean, the sheriff's office mans that, so.
That's true.
So they have that control center downstairs in the bottom floor. You've been down there.
I haven't been there.
And so, yeah, so it's a little different because they man. So if that courthouse is open, the sheriff's office is manning the security cameras as well as security at the doors. Even if the court's not going on, right?
Yeah,
because of the judge's offices and my office that are there.
Right. And I didn't think about something I could even ask Convergent, is if they could put something at our sheriff's office just to have there, or even, I don't know, some of their office. That's probably may not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
One thing I did ask them as well to do over here in Searcy County, they've got a little monitor there in the courtroom, which I love, because I can look, especially because like I do, like I said, a lot of DN cases are close to, I can look at the camera and I can see who's out in the hallway, and I can see, and I really like that. It might be distracting in Faulkner County because there's so much more traffic, but that was one thing I did ask him to do here, because that also would help, even with the bailiff when he's in court. So if he's standing there, like by me, he's still got that camera out there, even though we might have Paul Maddox or somebody at the door doing the metal detector. We've also got the security guy inside that can see it as well. Because I have had, and I know Ms. Cruz as well, a lot of things have happened in the lobby when they get done with court. So it can sometimes get a little western out there.
Have they been up here and looked at this?
Yes. Yes, they came up here and I spent probably an hour and a half with them. Went through everything.
Certainly, I'd like to see a turnkey job quote and not all these hidden things.
Well, they say this is turnkey, and so, again, I'm not IT. My assumption is, or those things that's not included are things we may not need, but I do not want to say that for fact, because that is just my assumption. They said this was their turnkey quote. Those are the words that they used.
Then that should be, all these hidden fees should be in there.
Not if you don't need them. Not if what they're saying is excluded isn't something that we need.
Debbie,
I would
had you,
say that we need the documents or the drawings, or maybe the manuals, operation and maintenance manuals.
I can speak to that. Those are all online.
Yeah, all that stuff is online, yeah.
have you, in like, I know that you were looking at some stuff for the courthouse downtown. Have you actually invested any in that yet? Or is
No,
this something
no.
we could still look at as a
The
full
courthouse
picture?
system works. We have one camera that's bad.
Okay.
It's just that the system is old and it needs to be updated.
Was that something you were planning on spending part of that money for?
No, not,
Okay.
not unless, and I talked to the judge about this, if we have money left in that project budget and I come back and y'all say I can add some money to something else to get a new system down there, but I won't know that until.
Okay, but that's nothing you're spending money on right now?
No,
is what you're saying.
I
Okay.
had
I'm
talked
just
to
making
Judge-
sure before,
No.
like, say you're investing in a system
Yes.
right now and
No,
it might,
because
I
ours
think it'd be good to
works.
look at it as a
Theirs-
whole picture.
Theirs up here doesn't work at all.
It
I mean,
does.
well, it does work
Yeah, you
because
turn
it
it on.
does it. Oh,
I turn it on.
Well, it did work.
That's what I did.
But I had talked to Judge Weaver when we get the court security grant again next time, if we could work together, maybe if we don't have the courthouses and theirs fixed by then, maybe do it together. But no, my plan is not to spend anything on that one, maybe one camera, but I'm gonna wait and see where I'm at budget-wise when I get done with that project.
And I didn't take them to the courthouse that day because we were here so long, and I didn't know, you know, I could have them do it again. There's another company, that have reached out to me as well, and I know Faulkner County, met with them as well, and I worked with, the county administrator down in Faulkner County and talked to him, hey, which one did you go with and why? And that's why I just had the convergent come up here, just based on what his, background, our county administrator's background, and this type of stuff. I've never installed a security camera. I have one at home. I know how to turn it on. I know how to turn it off.
You picked this one because Faulkner County's using it and they've not had any complaints that you know of?
We're changing the systems out right now. And that the county administrator has had some sort of work with this company before, so he's got experience with them. But I know that he talked with, I believe it was Motorola, and I'm totally fine with trying to even, if we wanted to talk with, and I'm fine with getting all kinds of ideas, because I think that might be a good idea. What would it cost for this? What would it cost if we did the courthouse downtown? What would it cost for all of us to be on one? And I'll keep finding, I'll see if I can get more of that stuff for y'all, who all has separate systems, and what would it be if we had one bill from, and I'm saying ADT, it's not, but you know what I mean. One bill from ADT instead of 5 bills from ADT. So those are all things that I wanted to go for. But again, this was just kind of me coming, here's what I'm looking at. I don't know if this might be something that would be feasible before I just kind of spring everything on you, so.
I like the idea of, you know, looking at it as a full picture. We're gonna do it one time, you know, hey, is there an opportunity to save money or is there not?
Mhm.
And I don't know if maybe we just need to know that first before we have them come talk to us, or I don't know anything about cameras, and that was a good question.
I know that they told me that the cameras would be a lot more clear than the ones that we had because we looked at the cameras. But that is like them speaking stupid to me because I don't speak camera language.
So then did they tell you how long they would record for?
You have your options: 30 days, 45 days, 60
I know
days,
the
90
courthouse
days.
right now is 7 days, so the new system we were talking about was 30-day now.
Yeah.
Assume that one
You
was
can
longer.
you can pick different ones, and they're supposed to get that to me. But and I don't care to say, hey, give you all different ones. Like, here's what this is going to be. Here's what this and this would be. Here's what we have now. I'm fine with doing all of that because I don't mind doing it. I mean, and it's fine because luckily Randy Higgins is great when I have questions and.
Good deal. So we have a JP who has volunteered to sponsor an ordinance if it's needed and to work with you. And y'all just figure out something that we can bring back to the court and decide if you want to bring Convergent back or if you want some other companies as well. But y'all work that out. And
Okay.
we'll,
I'll work on
so
who was it? Which one of you? You.
Sorry.
Soon you go away.
I know. I will get, what other information would y'all like me to find out? Or I can just work with him and say, hey, I can bring all these different plans to y'all and let y'all look. Would
I
that-
mostly just wanna know what everybody's paying and if there's a way to streamline it that's cheaper.
Okay, and I'll even ask them about, maybe even putting a monitor at the sheriff's office as well. I do wanna say that, and I do wanna brag on the sheriff's office and the city for just a second. I hit the panic button in the annex the other day, and I didn't know I hit the panic button because nobody ever told me where it was, so I had no idea. They were there like that. So, anyway, so thank you all for saving my life. That wasn't in danger, but it was, I told you all it was. So, yeah. Is that all? Yeah.
That's it?
Sit down.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Having no old business, that moves us right along to new business.
Dale, I missed my opportunity because my copier was down.
Okay.
May I?
You bet.
So it's either department head or home business is what it's gonna fall under. Just to the left, I think 9. I believe y'all out. Sorry about that. This is just our monthly report. Y'all can read that on your own leisure. Speaking of old business, did Misty and Pam have an opportunity to check to see that the monies were there that we discussed at the last meeting?
I did get a report from both of them, so, that will be used in the next, meeting that we call for those funds. So I have a report from both of them.
Okay, good. That being said, I wasn't here, like I said, I had copier issues. Did the 2 ordinances pass for tonight? I might have gotten here late.
We haven't, we're
Haven't
not
gotten
there,
to 'em.
we're not
Okay.
there yet.
Okay. So, that's some of new business. So my question, what I was gonna ask is, I have this, and I know these were not figured at first, but it's just the numbers that you had on the board.
Right.
Okay. My question was, if the money's there and it checks out that the funds are there, then I need somebody to sponsor ordinance to move these funds where we can use them.
Okay, so here's the deal on this. This needs to go to an ARP committee meeting,
Okay?
because that's what we did before, and they only motioned to move basically the money out of reserve, okay?
Right.
So, that's just how this needs to be handled.
The 539,
Mhm.
that's the ARPA funds that were left. We moved 492 from ARPA,
Well, no, we moved it from
correct?
reserve,
From reserve.
right. We moved 492, and there's a ordinance in here tonight to move what is it, 5,800?
5,800 for
Okay,
taxes,
and
yeah.
there were 8,000, let's see, a total of $8,392.10 remaining of those funds that were in the reserve. When the $5,870.53 comes out, there will be $2,584.57 remaining in reserve.
Okay.
The money remaining in the ARP fund is, again, this, remember, I was like, don't take a picture of it.
I know.
Because
But
this
if it
is
ain't on
not-
paper, it didn't happen.
Right, but this is just a plan that I came up with,
I know.
Nikki Brown,
I know.
not voted on by the board.
And that's why I asked about them checking the numbers.
Yeah, right. And they have given me a report. Where
Okay.
it gets complicated is that there's so many
Projects
projects
that are
already
unfinished.
unfinished.
Yeah.
And really, to just be, to simplify, okay, to kind of just, really what remains is what, and again, there were 2 things on the report that I need to get further clarification on. I called Pam today, she was out, she'll be back Monday, and I'll talk to her about it. So, what I really think really exists is what is in the Quorum Court pot.
Okay.
And that's about $320,000.
Okay.
That we're talking about, that remains, that could be
Right.
moved around.
I understand.
So, and the other thing is that I have to be clear on is when we do it, so, when we went through this whole budget first process and we talked about what was written down and what was approved and all those things that we went through. At the end of the day, the number that matters is the number approved by the Quorum Court. So, say someone submits something, even if they submitted a number, if that's not what was approved by the court, what's approved by the court is the number, okay? So, on the projects remaining, it will be a thing of
Give or take.
some of those would have to come down a little.
Right.
But we got I think we can get pretty close. Again, we'd have to have a meeting. I need a motion from someone
Okay.
to put
Well,
that. But
getting off the ARPA, just
Okay.
moving down to the next, the 300, let's set this aside. which was the reserves funds,
Mhm.
that 325, 163. The reason I'm here is petitioning for monies we know that are there. If that money's there in the report, like I spoke to you on the phone about some of our projects that equaled 1,014,000, and we're already coming in short if the money was there that you said might be there, but we had to check it.
Right, well, now, let me be clear though, we're coming in short, like, really by the time, this was a complicated plan to put together, and
I
it
know.
was taken from
I
other
know.
places. So if we've almost come up with $1 million, so I don't look at the sheriff's office as being shorted at all. I mean, to be
I know.
honest with you. Now,
No, I'm just trying to prevent
yeah,
any.
that is not a number, that is not a separate number. So that 325
Yes.
that I'm alluded to
Yes.
is basically the quorum court.
I'm gonna jump in here
Okay,
for a
that's
minute.
fine.
We're having a budget committee meeting instead of a quorum court meeting.
Okay.
And we need to
That, okay.
decide what kind of meeting we're having.
Well, I'm gonna cut it real short
Okay.
and get to a stopping point just real fast, okay? The only thing I'm petitioning the court for is just us to expedite at some point we can, maybe the next meeting you said. There are a lot of things that we need that cannot be bought on site, so we have to have authorization to buy them, or, because it takes up to a year or longer to build them. Like we're talking about the vehicles, we still need striping, we still need badges, we got uniforms, we got boots. Out of a mistake or misunderstanding, we went ahead and purchased 3 or 4 computers, because I know you were thinking the 429 or 92 that was allocated was enough to do all projects. That only did the first 3. So when I ordered those 3, I ordered them and we didn't have the money for them. So now I'm gonna have to take that out of my budget, which that's fine, I'll make it happen. But I realized that we shouldn't have done that. So if the money's not there to spend, all I'm saying is please, we need to do something to get to the point where we can actually spend these monies and get what we need. That's all
Okay.
that I'm saying. That's it.
Yeah.
At a later date.
Right, okay.
Okay.
We'll call a meeting. and-
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good deal. So now we'll move on to new business. Our first ordinance is sponsored by Mike Rafferty.
You'll have to bear with me, I left my glasses. Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to appropriate $1,362.04 into County General Election Commission budget number 1000-109. Whereas Van Buren County has received funds from the City of Clinton, City of Shirley, and the Town of Damascus for the general election of 2022, and whereas this money will be need to be appropriated into the Election Commission budget to cover costs, now therefore it be ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $1,362.04 be appropriated into the Election Commission budget number 1000-109-3009, other professional services. I move we accept this ordinance as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Vicky.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Mike Bradford.
Yes.
John Bradford.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
0-2023-26.
Thank you. Our next ordinance is sponsored by Justice Virgil Woodings.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, on appropriation orders to be entitled. Appropriation orders to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2022-58, the annual operating budget for 2023, and to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $5,807.53 into county general reserve, number 1001, and to transfer and appropriate the sum from general reserve into county general, number 1,000. Whereas it has been approved by the Budget Committee to complete certain construction projects at the detention center due to safety reasons, and whereas a quote was given by Clayton Home for delivery and setup of a new CDI building of $154,977.09, and whereas the total amount of the project with the sales tax included $160,748.62. Whereas the extra $5,807.53 will need to be appropriated to complete the project. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $5,807.53 be appropriated into General Reserve, number 1001-103-999, Section 2, $5,807.53 be transferred from General Reserve, number 1001-103-9999, and appropriated into County General, number 1,418-4006, construction in progress for the project listed above. I move that we approve this as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Mike Bradford.
Yes.
John Bradford.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
0-2023-27.
Thank you. Next ordinance is sponsored by Justice Sarah Brown.
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance number 2022-58, the annual operating budget for 2023, to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $3,000 into County General for the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office, line item number 1000-400-3103 grants in. Whereas the Sheriff's Office has received a federal block grant from the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration, Office of Intergovernmental Services, LLEBG, of $3,000. And whereas this grant is to be used for equipment and other needs, whereas $3,000 would need to be appropriated to be used for these purposes. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, $3,000 be appropriated into the Van Buren County Sheriff's budget, line item 1000-400-3103 grants in. I make a motion to approve as written.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Holcomb.
Yes.
Nikki.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Mike Bradford.
Yes.
John Bradford.
Yes.
Page.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
0-2023-28.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve of the transfers?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the transfers. Any discussion? There are 77 cents worth here. All in favor of approving the transfers signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Brings us up to public comments. Grant Summers.
How's everybody doing? For the ones that don't know, we Grant Summers, Treasurer, Secretary for the Van Buren County Fire Chiefs Association, also Captain for the Damascus Fire Department. Been on doing this for 15, 20 years, somewhere in that area. This is going to be our second year for the Van Buren County Expo. I think I have enough for you also. We're coming back to the county again this year to ask for some donations and help and to make this happen. This year we're going to have it at the Clinton City Park. And we're having to pay for the city park, which is part of it. We're doing raffles. We're doing a 65-inch TCL Roku TV and a Savage X's XP 6.5 Creedmoor. That's all on your deal there. The gun is $10 a ticket. Donations are $5 a ticket, or 5 for 20. Coming to y'all tonight to ask for possibly getting some kind of a donation just to kind of help this happen. We will be going around to some businesses and asking to, like we did last year. Last year we pulled in right around $6,000. We put some of that back to start this year's, and the rest of it went into our burnout account fund for burnout victims for here in Van Buren County. Done real good. We had it at the fairgrounds. Not a lot of public seeing. We done it in 3 months roughly. Had a real good turnout from what we did have for. We have 17 apartments. We had 15 of them there. Done real good. Donations. We had burgers and hot dogs. Everything went good. We're going to try again this year. This year we're going to kind of do it a little bit different. We're going to have a softball tournament. Of course, our rifle drawings. We're going to have a dunk tank there. We're going to have live music, fire safety demos, possibly extrication like we did. Let's see. And then also we're going to take 15% of our earnings and kind of split it up between the food banks here in Van Buren County. I know there's 3 of them for sure. Not really for sure if there's any more than that. That's kind of what our plan is right now. If we can kind of put out there. So I'm not really giving y'all an amount. That's kind of up to y'all what y'all can do. Anything will be really appreciated.
What time does the fire department play the police department in the softball game? That might be worth watching.
That's what we got to work with. I got to get with the sheriff and see if we can make that happen. We're going to try to start the game somewhere around 9 o'clock that morning. While it's hopefully not too hot. So we done it in October last year and it was perfect weather, thank God. And we're hoping it makes it this time. So we're going to either try that or we're going to do kind of a tournament where we get different teams to come in, probably pay like a $25 entry fee per team. There we go. So we'll hopefully kick the brothers in blue and go from there. We all work together, so we try to get there.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks for
thank you.
addressing the court. Any discussion before any public comments before we adjourn? Jeff?
Make a motion.
Have a motion to adjourn. Any opposed? We adjourn. Thank you.